Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, it is I am the one and only Sonic the Hedgehog here, aka the Blue Blur, aka Blue Justice. And I am Knuckles the Echidna here. I am the Echidna Warrior from the likes of the Maxi Toys videos once again. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze for the Nintendo Wii U / Nintendo Switch. So, last time, we've essentially did manage to complete certain levels for the sake of the Forms of Autumn Heights, and despite we did die a couple of times, most notably due to the forms of some Kong letters we need to obtain, and on top of that, some more puzzle pieces to find. So because of that, and in addition to that though, we also did manage to able to find the secret exit during the forms of one of those levels. So today, for this video is that we're going to be able to continue exploring for the rest of the Forms of Autumn Heights, and we're about to get on to the next level in that world, which as a result we now ended up in World 2-6, known as Wing Ding. So, at least as far as I'm aware for that particular level's name. So, and as far as I'm aware, is that the main emphasis on the stage is that we have to keep on ringing bells in order to be able to proceed. So, yeah, not much else has been going on for the sake of the forms of what's going to be expected, apart from the fact that for one particular thing in our perspective of ours, is that recently, that Sonic Prime Season 3 has finally gets its release on Netflix today. So relatively speaking, I was about the fact that we will promise you guys that during at some point until next week, that we'll discuss more details about the forms of how to factor for our opinions of the forms of the third season of Sonic Prime. And during at some point in next week, like I said earlier, mainly because like we already established that before, no spoilers please, because concerning for the fact that we haven't exactly gone around to it yet, but hopefully we will do Sonic by that time once we finish this particular recording session. So, and in addition to that though, is about the fact that we also did manage to able to watch the next Marvel series of series as far as I'm aware. And this time what appears to be body forms of Echo. So, yeah, because as a result, that's, yeah, not much else to say, because obviously no matter what though, it's a little bit interesting to say the least, but then again though, we're not gonna be able to mention any spoilers for the time being, just because that was the most recent series ever came out in Journey Forms of on Disney Plus and all that stuff, so everything else will be come to expect. So because of that, yeah, today's date of course here is the 11th of January today, in some cases in 2024 today. So, I would have liked able to explain something else, but I suppose we should probably save that particular topic once we're able to get onto the forms of the temple level coming up, once we do manage to able to complete the next 3 levels first, of course. Yeah, because as a result, no matter what though, is about the fact that I'm pretty certain that despite with the forms of some progression gets a little bit more lengthier as far as this is concerned, and it is especially noticeable concerning for the fact that, well, obviously, if you couldn't tell already, it's about the fact that it's been about 2 days ago since we've last played this game for sure, because recently, that Ray the Flying Squirrel, he's already did manage to finish up everything for Fluff Puff Peaks recently, during the course of the Super Mario Bros. Wonder, so as a result, he's now moving on to the third world in the game already, so it feels like, for the sake of time, for our progression, for the progressioning wise, for the sake of the forms of not only in this game, but also with Super Mario Bros. Wonder, it feels like a neck-to-neck kind of syndrome or something. Well, despite the fact that usually this is the reason why, that we've choose Super Mario Bros. Wonder for the sake of the forms of Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, whilst compared to Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze, that, basically though, as we've already established that earlier, that we're going to be focusing on that game on Tuesdays and Thursdays from now on, just because, despite the fact that it's going to be ridiculously challenging later on though, but that's as far as I was expecting for that kind of challenge, so, and something tells me is about the fact that much like in one of those levels in World 1, basically though, we actually stumbled across into the returning zip lines, and relatively speaking though, we did accidentally died on that particular segment, so yeah, just because I was expecting to try to able to get an N, but we failed to grab that particular zip line in time, so relatively speaking though, because timing is key right here. Well, obviously I shouldn't have to say that, but still, no matter what though, that we still got plentiful of extra lives to its disposal, so Yeah, that's to be expected at this point, Sonic. That's to be expected, so... Anyways, let's grab some more of those banana coins, just in case we can able to buy some more figurines or anything else like that for that particular capsule eventually. So, even then though, we're Scout able to try to focus on this part, because again, if we mess up that specific timing jump, then obviously we have to restart that particular portion again. But thankfully though, we somehow succeed, so that should be all good. And if we grab some more of those bananas right here, then it gives us some heart back, so nothing special for that particular points worth noting for, I have to be quite frank here. And if we go in here, and then we blast all the way down there, there's another puzzle piece down there. But we need to be quick about this, because obviously, if you stand on these platforms right there, then obviously the platform will crumble. So, speaking of something crumble related, is about the fact that, dang it, we somehow died. Although, mind you, because of how the fact that we always have to make sure if we're able to actually double check on certain areas, just in case no matter what though, if we decide to search for the forms of some remaining puzzle pieces for the sake of time, so, but I suppose it doesn't matter though, because unfortunately we've lost Dixie Kong with us, so, yeah, I suppose that seems to be the case of how Tron Era decides to come in, so... Anyways, and I believe there must be something around here somewhere though, like I get this strong sense of feeling. Well, mind you, there's a G right there, so we'll easily obtain that. So, either way though, I could assure you the end of the level is just right there. So we'll just grab that, and I suppose, there's no turning back! Jeez, I totally forgot for the fact that we can't turn back at all, because we have to able to move forward at all times, so... Or, to be more specifically though, Sonic, is that we have to stay up at all times, rather than just going downwards again. So, yeah, there's quite a lot of times about the fact that we have to avoid getting instant death moments from time to time, which I know it sounds a little bit too crazy to think about it, but still, we're pretty much used to with playing Donkey Kong Country Returns a lot, even with the forms of the Super Nintendo games as well, including the Game Boy Advance remake counterparts as well. That's just because we're more familiar with those kinds of games like that. So, anyways, let's button mash right here to grab 15 more, or should I say 13 banana bunches, because I didn't pay attention to that specific number right there. And unfortunately though, we've lost one of those puzzle pieces, so we'll be back for that once we're able to completely done the rest of the world. So yeah, relatively speaking though, let's just go ahead and go back for a bit, and we can now able to tag along with the forms of those secret levels. So here we go, on to World 2-A, Crumble Cavern. So I keep on thinking of something related to the forms of one of those levels or anything else like that, which again, it's been about 2 days ago since we've last played this, so, and it's especially noticeable because I cannot but notice about the fact I'm still pretty much hyped to able to actually finally get a chance to watch, you know, Sonic Prime Season 3, and as a result, no matter what though, is that yes, the Blu-ray version of the films of Sonic Prime, specifically Season 1, is going to be existent. However, here's the catch though, is that it only contains like 8 episodes in particular, so there won't be a complete series from now on, so because of that, sure it might take some bit of time to try to release those specific stuff, but either way though, that's pretty exciting stuff, you know? So yeah, let us know in the comments down below for the question of the day. Are you guys looking forward to be watching the 3rd season for the sake of the forms of Sonic Prime? Because I'd like to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. So because of that, I'm sure enough though, it will be pretty exciting, especially concerning for the fact that, well, again, no matter what though, we're not going to mention any spoilers from now on, so just to ensure for the fact that I'm sure that Sonic fans will be pretty excited about this, and especially concerning for the fact that, well, I'm sure that Shadow the Hedgehog will be a lot more awesome for the sake of the forms of how that particular season gonna plays out to be, so... But either way though, let's obtain the next puzzle piece right there, so that should be all pretty good and pretty substantial throughout. And it looks like we actually stumbled across into so many cheeses in the background, like filled to the brim with a lot of cheese holes and all that stuff. I believe something tells me though, Sonic, is that once we finish this entire stage, I believe we might be able to come across into a yet another secret level that potentially speaking of, that we might able to see that familiar gameplay mechanic since in Donkey Kong Country Returns. Oh yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Which, because of that though, Knuckles, is that we're gonna have to able to save that particular topic once we're able to continue proceedings for this. So, oh, and also, not to mention though, Sonic, is about the fact that recently, New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe has recently became 5 years old today. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy to able to know that particular game has been out for 5 years. And that could be also applies for the forms of, the North American version of Mario & Luigi, Bowser's Inside Story, plus Bowser Jr.'s Journey. In some cases though, the final Mario game to be released on the Nintendo 3DS, despite the actual sales, has gone pretty poor. So, well, who knows though, Sonic, is about the fact that we still have no idea what the final Mario games are going to be for the Nintendo Switch's lifespan before Nintendo decides to move along to the next system in the future. So, and I think, relatively speaking though, something tells us is that I've heard there's going to be a rumor that, although, before you mention anything else for this point, Knuckles, I will admit though right away, I basically give up on rumors and leaks every nowadays, because that's going to be my New Year's resolution, especially concerning for the fact that I'm actually going to be ignoring leaks and rumors for now, just because sometimes they like to trick us. I know you can't help it for this point, Knuckles, but it's just about the fact that sometimes, I will admit though right away, is that the information is rather vague, and sometimes though, it can lead us to forms of some confusion, information, or some confusing, information that we like to point things out. But I mean, relatively speaking though, I would classify for saying that the next Nintendo Direct is gonna pop up at some point in during any forms of, well, I don't know about you, maybe someone that actually did say it was possible to make it happen for the sake of the forms of this month or something, or perhaps even maybe we'll do the usual February Nintendo Direct, just like the forms of how it does it in 2021, alongside with 2022, and even with last year for 2023. So, you telling me about the fact that I don't think it's possible that we'll be able to see the January Nintendo Direct or anything else like that? Well, it's kind of hard to say for this point, Knuckles, because like I said before, I don't usually trust rumors and leaks anymore, just because they can sometimes fake us out and all that stuff. Although, some details are accurate in the past, but it's just about the fact that sometimes it's not a full 100% guaranteed, and especially concerning for the fact that Nintendo has not been confirmed for that particular Nintendo Direct just yet. Well, despite the fact that we've already know that E3 is basically dead. So because of that, meaning that there won't be any E3 stuff anymore. So it kind of sucks, honestly, especially concerning for the fact that what makes the past years so great in the first place is because, well, you get the idea with certain unexpected announcements and tons of surprises from time to time, but still, it's just going to be one of those days where, you know, we're going to miss those old days, you know? Yeah, I totally get that. So, unfortunately though, we're missing another one of those puzzle pieces, but again, we'll be back for that eventually. So, anyways though, so let's move on to level 2-B, which by the looks of all that stuff though, we're about to be going to Rodent Ruckles, I think is what it says anyway. So, yeah, relatively speaking though, it's basically like a continuation portion of that particular previous cave level, or should I say, Crumble Cavern level. So, and I believe there's the first bonus area just right down there. So, pretty easy to spot, especially concerning for the fact that no matter what though, we basically know what the layout is going to be. So, but even then though, but at the very least though, Sonic, is that we ended up on this 2 trampoline bonus areas right there, which as a result is incredibly easy. Well, I will admit though right away, Knuckles, is that the hardest bonus area to me anyway, what it appears to be involves around with the multi-direction barrel cannons, which you know what I mean about the fact that somehow we ended up failing the bonus area one time during the forms of the, I would say in one of the levels in during the forms of in World 2 in particular, which you probably know what I was trying to say for this point, because I will admit though, that particular bonus area that involves around with the barrel cannons is actually a lot harder than it seems. So, And it looks like we stumbled across into a familiar vehicle, which as a result, we got the returning rocket barrel. And basically it behaves exactly like the forms of how it does it in Donkey Kong Country Returns after all. So, yeah, that makes it pretty obvious standard stuff for this point. Although you still need to button mash from the very start, just in case you can able to activate the rocket barrel. So just in case you can able to take off. So, while trying to avoid a lot of hazards, specifically cheese, and on top of that, certain obstacles. But then again, much like the forms of how it does it on the minecarts, thankfully though, it's nowhere near as punishing as the forms of how it does it since in Donkey Kong Country Returns, because obviously, if we get it once, then it's all over and you have to start again. Well, assuming of course if you activate the checkpoint of course, so yeah, that's what I was expecting. So, I've missed a couple of bananas over there, which I think something tells me there's gonna be another puzzle piece while Drini follows that banana trail, so, but at least we got an end, but I get the strong feeling that we might able to just, dang it. We were so close right there. Well, the reason why we have to take a death for this point, Knuckles, is just because I just want to get that particular puzzle piece, so I just want to get this out of the way, so... Oh, come on! I missed that banana bunch! Although I'm sure enough that particular segment doesn't take that very long to able to get to this point, but still. Alright, so let's not make that same mistake again. Ah, jeez. I spoke too soon on that part. Alright. Let's try this again, and hopefully it should able to... There we go! The puzzle piece now showed up. Oh jeez, that took a lot longer than it looks. Well, which is especially noticeable considering for the fact that you've wasted so many extra lives at that point. Well, to be fair, Knuckles, is about the fact that at least we can able to grind as many of those extra lives again, and join at some point in the later stages to come, so... And now we're just able to try to avoid a lot of cheese and stuff like that, so... I will say though is about the fact that for World 2's case it's actually gone not too bad. Although I will admit though right away is that once we get to the later worlds in the game, that we might attempt able to struggle at one point when it comes to likely to not only trying to get specific con letters, but it's also with certain puzzle piece locations here and there as well, so... And I get the strong feeling the last puzzle piece is actually not that very far, so it's just literally at the end of a level, because if we just roll and jump, there we go. Pure and simple. Yeah, especially considering for the fact that, well, you pretty much know what's to come, so... Anyway, so we're basically done with this particular stage after quite a few deaths from time to time, specifically with that particular stingy puzzle piece obtaining kind of stuff, because you know you need to grab all of those bananas in that specific section. But either way, oh god, this particular temple level coming up. Oh, I know exactly what you mean, Knuckles, because here we go on to World 2-K Barboasis, and because of that, this is easily, without a doubt, is one of the hardest temple levels in the entire game, at least in my opinion, and it's usually at the earliest point of the game. So, yeah, what's hard about this particular stage, you're probably wondering? It requires a lot of timing, specifically when you're trying to deal with a lot of enemy jump bouncing, and on top of that, we can able to actually hear a second temple theme in the background, likely for this music if you couldn't tell, and it's basically like the arrangement of the forms of, well, that familiar Jungle Hijinks theme or something like that, except it sounds a little bit more jazzy compared to the forms of how it does it back on the Super Nintendo days. And it looks like there's a puzzle piece right there, and much like the forms of how it does on the first temple level, there's only like 5 of those puzzle pieces to obtain. So, dang it, there's that puzzle piece I somehow missed. But I will admit though, this music is so good to listen to. Although, despite the fact that it does give us some bit of distractions from time to time, if we lost some bit of concentration for some other times, so... But yeah, this is what the stage is all about. Basically, we have to keep on jumping onto certain enemies, as in the forms of one of those... Well, you know what I'm saying, so... And, dang, we got hit by that penguin at the very end. well, I wouldn't say it's at the very end for this point, Sonic, just because I get the strong sense of feeling that certain temple levels might go a bit more lengthy approach. So, yeah, it's nothing like the forms of how it does it on Donkey Kong Country Returns, where basically, though, depending on what level we go into, sometimes it can be a pretty short length, whilst other times, though, it can be pretty lengthy at times. So, and I get the strong feeling that the next puzzle piece is gonna be... dang it. Prepare ourselves with a lot of death situations on this particular stage for this point, guys, which is especially noticeable concerning for the fact that this stage is pretty tough. So, yeah, wish us luck, I guess. Yeah, which is especially noticeable concerning you have to press the A button at the right time, depending on what particular controller type you're going to be using. Or to be more accurate though, if you use the B button, then you would be able to realize that the jump button function-wise will be pretty similar or something. So, anyways, let's try to see. Oh God! Okay, I'm not able to focus on this, but then again, depending on how many times we died, there was no Super Kong feature, which I know for a fact that it could have helped for, come on! Oh my days. Alright, I suppose there's also another thing I want to classify for mentioning about this as well, that yes, we did somehow manage to able to unlock yet another playable character throughout the course of, well, Sonic Dash, and because of that, we somehow finally get a chance to unlock Thorn Rose. So as a result, yeah, based off from Sonic Prime, of course. So, it seems to be more specifically, though, is that we've almost pretty much collected every single of those, or should I say, unlocked every single Sonic Prime-based characters in Sonic Dash, after all. So, yeah, it seems pretty, awesome to me. So, it's a good reason why that we did somehow manage to be looking forward to be watching the third season of Sonic Prime, of course. So, but that's just the way we feel about it for this point, guys. So, but anywho though, there's also another thing I want to mention about this as well, is potentially speaking though, is that I've noticed on Princess Peach Showtime that the actual ESRB rating board did somehow confirms about the fact that that particular game is going to be rated as in rated E10+, which I was not expecting for that particular rating system, which I can assure to you it might be something to do with like cartoon violence or something, or perhaps even maybe because of how the fact that, well, it's hard to explain really, because the last time we actually heard about the films of Princess Peach Showtime was back in during the films of been last year's September Nintendo Direct, where basically it shows us some more gameplay footage alongside with the actual full name of the title, and on top of that with that particular trailer. So, at least as far as I'm concerned. So, hopefully we'll find out some more details about that game at some point in possibly by the end of February or by the beginning of March. So, well, it all depends really, especially concerning for the fact that, well, at this point in time is that I believe we've only just got about 1 week left until, what was that game you were able to be thinking about, Sonic, by the way? Oh, I'm sorry, because I was keep on, like, trying to focus on this. Although, I'm sure enough, though, is about the fact that oh, dang, I did somehow failed right there, but I believe we've actually got every single puzzle pieces right now, so at least we should be all set. So, anyway, I think it's now your turn, Knuckles, to concentrate on this level, so I can able to easily decide to discuss upon specific news to discuss. So, yeah, that's perfectly fine by me. So, I'll let you mention about the forms of that discussion I did somehow said earlier. So, okay then. So, yeah, it seems pretty strange about the fact that, like what Knuckles has already stated this earlier, that it seems pretty weird about the fact that Princess Peach Showtime is gonna get rated E10+ for its, oh, come on, why does my jumps not work? Anyway, that with the forms of the ESRB rating board for Princess Peach Showtime, like, it seems kind of weird, you know? Yeah, tell me about it. So, anyway, there's also another thing I want to address something about this as well, is that, somehow, that, Hogwarts Legacy, at least to be more specifically with, like, multiple systems or something like that, or to be more accurate though, Sonic, it's likely, I would say it's likely all of these multiple versions as far as you want to point things out. Yeah, I was thinking about that. Recently is that Hogwarts Legacy has surpassed 22 million copies sold, so it's actually going pretty good, especially concerning for the fact that obviously, despite what the actual visuals is actually a little bit more downgraded compared to the forms of how it does it on any other versions of the game, likely on the PlayStation 4 version, as well as the Xbox systems and PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, whilst in the Switch version, well, it seems to run fine, but it's just about the fact that with the visual standpoint, it feels a bit kind of downgraded, you know? And let's not forget to mention ourselves about the fact that I'm pretty sure that, apparently though, that once the forms of Hogwarts Legacy has got a massive success when it comes to, like, you know, some sales units and stuff like that, or even, like, sales copies and stuff like that, I believe, potentially speaking of, that for what I've heard, they're about to be making another one or something like that. Another one of those Harry Potter games or something like that. Well, it's a bit difficult to tell, which is especially concerning for the fact that I know it's been a very long while since I actually known about something related to Harry Potter stuff, since whenever we watched certain films and stuff like that, so... But either way, yeah, congratulations to, you know, Hogwarts Legacy, that they somehow managed to reach 22 million copies sold. So, pretty cool, don't you think? Yeah, exactly. And also, I found it's very weird, is that what I've noticed about the forms of the Pokemon Horizons, the series, that I've noticed for the fact that it's already been out for quite some time, not only for in Japan, but also the UK version as well, because I almost assume for the fact that, well, potentially speaking though, that unfortunately though, for those of you who lived in North America, and as well as Australia, and even Canada, basically though, they have to wait until for about a couple of weeks ahead. To be more specifically, I've noticed on the North American's release date, for the sake of the forms of Pokemon Horizons the series, is that I believe the American version is about to be released at some point on the 23rd of February. So that's going to be roughly about a week after Mario vs. Donkey Kong Remake on the Nintendo Switch will be released. And that could be also applies for the forms of our 13th anniversary of the Mexi Toys YouTube channel, eventually at some point. And yeah, it seems kind of strange they're able to actually release that particular series in North America way more later than it was attempted. And on top of that, I believe any Australian version is about to be releasing at some point on the 27th of February, for the sake of the forms of this year anyway, in 2024. And on top of that, for Canada, it's going to be releasing at some point on the 2nd of March in 2024, which I think, fundamentally speaking though, is that that's going to be releasing around the same time as when Mario Party 9 is going to be eventually become 12 years old. I mean, jeez Louise, Mario Party 9 is going to be 12 years old this year. Yes, I think it's actually pretty crazy to be able to notice that, yeah, that game has been out for a very long time. Especially while looking back on it though, it feels kind of a little bit more outclassed now, especially because after all, we've got the superior Mario Party Superstars, of course, for the Nintendo Switch. Speaking of something related to Mario Party though, we still have no idea what's going to be up next for Mario Party, because I know for a fact that for one thing in mind, that since no matter what though, we're now in 2024 after all, so who knows, maybe they're able to actually bring the final Mario Party game to be released on the Nintendo Switch or something, before they jump right into the next Nintendo console or something, or perhaps even maybe they'll just... I found this very weird for this point about the fact that they always attempt able to release certain Mario Party console games as of right now. They keep on releasing those games as in like a 3-year gap. For the majority of the NT-Cube Mario Party games, specifically the console entries in the series, like, we already know that Mario Party 9 did originally came out in 2012, and then 3 years later, in 2015, we've got Mario Party 10 on the Wii U, and until 3 years later, we've got Super Mario Party for the Nintendo Switch, and another 3 years later that we have Mario Party Superstars in June in 2021. So I couldn't imagine about the fact that what's going to be up next for Mario Party for the sake of time, so... Oh, it's almost there. Are you okay there, Knuckles? Whoa! Oh, okay. Is it done? Oh my god, it's finally done. Ow! My thumb hurts. Well, I'm sure that your thumbs are uninjured or anything else like that. Oh, don't tell me they're aching, aren't they? Well, I'm afraid so, just because, my goodness, I have to deal with so many times about the fact that I have to, do a button presses at the right time. I mean, god, that level is just kind of maddening. But anyways though, so I suppose we're going to be able to go back to the previous levels to find the missing puzzle pieces. So yeah, we'll meet you guys back until we find the last few puzzle pieces from here. Okay, so if I recall correctly, it has to be something to do with that singular banana, and once we do a hand slap right there, there's that puzzle piece right down there. So, gee, we didn't pay attention to that at all, didn't we? Well, because obviously we have to rush this out, just in case we don't want to die from that instant death, crumbling building or something like that. But apart from those side things though, we did somehow manage to finally accomplish that particular level. So despite the fact that we have to able to bring Dixie Kong with us, because obviously it's pretty useful in our opinion, especially because, well, you know what I mean. Okay, so back in here with that particular barrel cannon section, so I think we're supposed to go to the top. And if I recall correctly, there was that well-hidden bonus barrel right up there. And then basically that's how we find the bonus area. And of course, once we obtain all of those collectibles again, then sure enough, we're able to actually get that next puzzle piece, of course. So, but either way, I suppose with that being said though, is about the fact that that's as far as we can able to say about the films of today's topic at this point. Yeah, I was thinking about the same thing for this point, Knuckles, which is especially noticeable concerning for the fact that, well, you probably get the idea for this point. Alright, so we made our way back to the world map, so now let's go ahead and take care of the forms of the final level in World 2. That's what appears to be none other than the boss. So in some cases though, World 2-boss, which appears to be Mountaintop Tussle. So I wonder what the next boss are we going to be fighting against this time. Well, I'm sure enough though, Sonic, is about the fact that you notice with that particular hint on that particular ending portion of the map, we might able to actually fight against something related to an owl species. So, I suppose we'll also find out right now. So yeah, here we go folks, on to the next boss in the game, and this guy is actually known as Skull, which basically what that means is about the fact that obviously, oh jeez, I totally forgot that particular platform decides able to almost try to make us fall off, but either way. So basically in this entire battle, it's pretty simple at first, but sometimes it might take a bit while to get used to, because if you couldn't tell, he decides to able to summon the forms of certain enemies that does have eggshells in them. And basically, all you have to do in this particular fight is that you need to able to toss the actual, the enemy with an eggshell on it to able to toss back at him. So, and of course, much like the forms of how it does it for certain rock bosses, in the forms of in Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, every once in a while he decides to able to summon those feathers. So potentially speaking, we have to avoid those feathers because otherwise it will be painful if you dare touch them. So. Yeah, and unfortunately though we've lost Dixie Kong, so I get the strong sense of feeling that we might die at one point, and potentially speaking we have to restart the entire fight all over again if we able to actually mess this up. Assuming of course, no matter what though, if you manage to move along to the next phase, then we should be able to actually get our heart back, but still, no matter what though, sometimes boss patterns can be felt a bit tricky at times, so, which I will say this right now is about the fact that maybe because I'm pretty much used to with, like, playing certain other games, to be more specifically with the forms of, the Mario games, Sonic games, or Pac-Man games, like Pac-Man Worlds 1 and 2 and probably 3 for the sake of the forms of consistency. But no matter what though, it's about the fact that sometimes... Oh jeez. Come on. So yeah, I think something tells me though that every single bosses in this game now actually provides. They now have 9 hits. So... like 3 hits in each faces, at least as far as I'm aware. So, at least potentially speaking, I was about the fact that we will still able to come across into 3 faces to go through. So, okay, so we're now on to phase 2, where every time whenever we move along to the next phase, I believe the entire background has changed. So, despite the fact that we have to do a lot of, you know, we have to go all the way up to the top, basically. So. And every once in a while, he decides to able to use his wings to able to cast the actual, the wind to able to blow us back. So, and of course, just like before, we still need to able to actually toss the, oh, jeez, I totally forgot about that. And this is the point where muzzle, oh, goodness. Okay. Oh, jeez, this is quite tricky, I will admit though right away, so... Alright. Ah, dang it, I totally forgot that enemy did show up out of that particular egg. Oh well. Oh yeah, I should also mention about this as well, that recently we're currently charging our laptop up. I will admit though right away, the battery life is a little bit more better than the forms of how it does on the old laptop that we have. But I will admit though, sometimes it might not last forever though, because obviously it only took about 2 hours for its, you know, the actual battery lifetime. But sometimes though, no matter what though, it still works flawlessly, especially because again, thank goodness there's no lag. So, and you might also realize about the fact that the actual, well, I don't know about you, because it's been a very long while since actually I've mentioned something related to that, but either way though, I think, relatively speaking though, there is technically the last thing I want to discuss, in regards to the forms of something related to, like, filming related and stuff like that. As far as I'm aware, that, at least to be more specifically, in North America or something like that, it looks like not only 1, not 2, but 3 Pixar movies is finally gonna make its own, debut on the theaters for the first time. Well, despite the fact that the actual box office didn't exactly go too well back then, just because of the forms of the global pandemic, back in during the forms of it not only in 2020, but also in 2021 and 2022 respectively. Whilst, unlike the forms of how it does it for Lightyear, alongside with Elemental, and eventually Inside Out 2, that at the very least they got themselves the theatrical release. Whilst, usually, for the sake of time, Soul, Luca, and Turning Red are now going to be making its appearance on the big screen for the first time on the actual cinemas. So, despite the fact that you already technically seen those films, thanks to the forms of Disney Plus streaming services, so potentially speaking though, I think this might be actually be kind of overly redundant. Well, straight to the point though is about the fact I don't think, well, it is cool to able to actually just have those 3 films now finally appeared on the actual theater screen at long last, but it's just about the fact that it might be already been too late. In regards to the forms of that decision or something, so, but at least it have some bit of potentials, so, anyway, so now we're moving on to the 3rd and final phase, where we now ended up in the skies above, and of course, we still need to avoid a lot of feathers that he just constantly decides to able to aim at us, so, unless if we decide able to use that particular special move with Dixie Kong to make things a bit 10 times as easy by bringing ourselves some more hearts, but I just don't think we can able to do that right now. Actually, kind of thinking about it, we still have not shown anyone else about the forms of the special move with Cranky Kong yet. Well, straight to the point though, Sonic, I think we should probably be able to save that until whenever we get to the next couple of worlds ahead, so... No matter what though, Knuckles, I was gonna be thinking about the same thing, because obviously we've now nearly at the end of World 2 right now, and I believe we've almost gone to the forms of, oh, we need to stop on him somehow, and get our heart back regardless, and I think we're now on to the last hit, so, Yeah, thankfully this boss is not too shabby for the most part. It's just you have to watch out for the forms of specific attacks he just somehow managed to cause. But I will admit though right away for this point, Knuckles, I'm actually really looking forward to the next world coming up, because it does kind of reminds me of the similar vibes as in The Lion King, which you know what I mean by then. So, alright, so he's now going to summon those birds to size able to go down, or anything else like that. And we have to keep an eye on with the forms of the eggshell in it. So just in case we can able to use that as a projectile. And boop. And we just have to watch out for those. And hopefully when he dips down, boom, he's toast. Well, we have to do a continuous button mashing first. And there we go. Autumn Heights is completely done. And let's see how many hits we just somehow deal with. 23. That's pretty cool to me though. Yeah, and with that being said, you know, like I said earlier, Autumn Heights is completely done. And of course, we got ourselves a and yet another dilemma as well. But I suppose we should probably save that particular topic in the future. So with that said, yeah, with that being said, we're going to ending off this point right here. So join us next time for more of Let's Play of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. It's now we're going to be moving on to World 3, known as Bright Savannah. So I'm really looking forward to this world to me. So I'll see you guys until next Tuesday. Later fellas, see you guys then.